Welcome to the tutorial, the video tutorial on project management. As always, please refer to our written tutorials for the most up-to-date information. So if you see anything different in this video tutorial that's from your program, go to the written tutorials because we always keep those up to date right when we do updates, whereas the video tutorials take a lot longer to get them updated. This tutorial is going to cover tasks, projects, as well as the different type of projects, client projects, event projects, orders, and general projects. We will not be going through task templates or pipelines. We have a different tutorial on those items, so go ahead and if you're just looking for those, go ahead and jump over to that tutorial. Let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing we need to cover is tasks and what they are in Studio Cloud. Tasks, just things that you need to get done. For example, right here we have dust the office, take out the garbage, or other examples of tasks are things you need to do to follow up with a prospective client, things you need to do before an event or session or after an event or session. Things you need to do to deliver an ordered item to a customer, such as if you're doing a photo 8x10, things you need to do to get that photo to the customer. Those are examples of tasks. We also have in Studio Cloud the concept of projects, and you can think of projects as task lists. And so right now we're going to talk about general projects. This example right here does. So you have a project called, or a project or a task list called Clean Studio. First task is a dust, sweep, take out the trash. And let's kind of walk through this very basic general project one in Studio Cloud. So here on the overview page of Studio Cloud, we can kind of have a quick snapshot of all your projects. We also have the tasks that are in those projects. Let's jump over to the project management section. And here we have a list of all the, it has a different type of projects, which we're going to go over in a little bit. But it also has your general projects. You have the far left option here is so you can do group operations. Then you have delete, edit. Here you communicate with the client. Not all projects are associated with clients. In fact, the client project order event can be associated with a client, but the general projects never are. And then this one right here, you can mark this project as completed or done. And then over here, this tab right here, well, let me jump through a few more of these. Here you can change the priority. You just click to change it. And then pipelines, which we will not cover in this tutorial. You can set the deadline for the project, and then you can assign it to different employees. And then we have a lot of powerful filter options up here, where you can filter and just see specific employees information or ranges for when the projects are due. And we also have the ability to filter by project type. And since we're talking only about general projects right now, let's go ahead and just filter it down for general projects. And we have two right here. One's Clean Office, one Explain Projects. And then we have, you can show completed projects or active ones. And then we have the group operations where you can edit multiple projects at once. So you can change like their priority or their different options. And then you can do quite a few different options. Export all the projects out to a CSV file if you want to do that. And then select certain projects in a time frame. So you have a lot of group operation steps you can do. It makes it quite powerful. And then over on the task section, this right here is a list of all the tasks. And once again, remember the tasks are inside of projects. And so here they are listed. It's pretty much the same options as the project section with the missing the category of pipelines. And then we also have the category of the project, so you can switch the different projects from this view. We also have in the settings here, you can set up your project pipelines and task templates, which we won't be going over in this tutorial as I mentioned previously, but you can also add pop-up alerts. These right here, you can set the type of alert, pop-up message, and a pop-up will appear on the bottom right here when it's a certain time frame before the project or task deadline. This only is a pop-up on the computer that's set, so it's not something where you can set that affects every single computer if you have multiple users using Studio Cloud at the same time. Just something to know on that. So let's go through how to actually create a new project. This is for the general project type right here that we're going to create. You just come down here to the bottom right, click on New Project, type in the name. Let's call it Test Project. You can type in a description if you want to, and then you can select the priority and then when you want this entire project to be completed by. And we're going to skip the pipeline for right now for this tutorial, and then you can select the employee that you want to be responsible. The employee you want responsible for this entire project. This would require that you have the partner boost or the employee boost to be able to have these options to assign it to an employee. Task templates, which we won't be covering here, and then the ability to send emails to an employee or a text message. This would be to notify them that you create a project that they are responsible for. So if we come in here and say, John Doe, you're responsible for this project, you could send a text message or an email to him to say, hey, just a heads up, you've been assigned this project. And this list right here also would include virtual employees. So if you have the employee boost, your virtual employees would also be listed there. So let's go ahead and create that test project. We're going to come in here and edit it. And so here you can see all your project information. You can see the tasks, which we have not added tasks to it. So from here you could do a new task button and create and add tasks. Most people, well, when you get to the client projects and the event projects and the order projects, you often would use task templates for that. This also has the ability to have files attached to the project, which is really useful if you're doing a collaborative work between multiple people in your business. So you can attach files and they can pull down those files on their computer, and it's all associated with the project. And then the logbook to track all the edits and changes that have happened with the project. So let's go ahead and go back and start going through the different types of projects. So we talked about projects and how there's just tasks inside of them. So this is where things get a little bit more complicated. We've mentioned these already. There's client projects, event projects, and orders. And then down here we have the general projects. Now general projects, you can create them anytime, but they're not associated with any type of information in Studio Cloud. And let's go through and explain what that means. So a client project, you'd create it for a client or for a prospective client, and it's used for the client. It'd be used to track something to do with that client that would be unrelated to the event or session they're involved with or the order. The prospective client, you track the prospective client to try to convert them from a prospective client to a client, or from a lead to a client. So that's what you use client projects for. Typically, is to make sure you don't have prospective clients falling through the cracks. That they're always, you have them in some sort of tracking system. The event projects are a little bit different. I mean, you do the same process to create them, but they're used for different things. So you would create a project before a session or event, and this typically you do this to make sure you bring the right equipment or the right items, or you have the right stuff for that session. I mean, you could even do it to remind yourself to send emails to a client to remind them of stuff. Of course, we have our automated cloud alerts that would do that for you. So this one before is not used as much because a lot of it would be done by our automated cloud alert system, where it does the customized and personalized email reminders. The after session event appointment stuff is done, and that's oftentimes is to schedule a follow-up appointment to do sales, or something that you may want to do after the appointment. Usually it's to make sure you don't forget about a client to close the deal. And then we also so those two are used very differently. Then you have the order section, and this is used for tracking. When you do the invoice, it's used for tracking what you need to deliver to the customer. So if they order a 8x10 photo in your project, in your order in the project management section, you'd have an 8x10 photo in there to make sure that you deliver that to them, so you don't have any things in the orders falling through the cracks. Then the estimates and quotes, that's making sure that after you send the estimate quotes to the client, that you can create a project and track, okay, I need to follow up on this estimate and quote to see if that they approved it, or to do follow up on that. And then once they've approved the estimate and quote, you convert it from an estimate quote to an invoice, and then you create an order from there to make sure that you deliver the stuff that they approved. So let's just so for client projects, here's some examples. We have a prospective client, John Doe. Task 1 in there is email marketing material. Task 2 is follow-up phone calls. And in this example, we're using tasks, but in the other tutorial, in the task templates and pipelines, very likely you use pipelines for that. But refer to that tutorial for breakdown of when and where you should use which ones. Event pipelines, here's some examples. on location photo shoot with John Doe, bring the camera, bring extra batteries. That's kind of stuff that you take. This is a project that you do before the event, and here's a project that you do after. Send thank you emails, schedule sales phone calls. So two different types of projects. And you don't have to do every single project. A lot of times people might make the mistake and they try to track every single thing they possibly could in Studio Cloud, and it just gets, there's so many tasks and so many projects that they get overwhelmed. Which the easiest thing to do is start off basic, and then as you start off with a basic tracking system, and then add more as you want more details, rather than enter every possible scenario and go from there. Orders, as I mentioned, is to track what needs to be delivered to the customer. So here you have some examples: 8x10 photo, 5x7 photo, album, etc. And then let's go ahead and jump over to there and walk through. We're going to now walk through how you do all these. So let's go to the client section. Here we have a client. There's this magical button over here called Create Project for Client. You click on it, and it opens up a window fairly similar to the Create the General Project for Client. You have the name of the client here, and these are editable, and we have the client pre-selected for you, and if they have a business name, it'd be displayed there too. Down here we have the new option to send an email to client or send a text message to client. This is useful if you have a client call up over the phone. Let's go ahead and go to the prospective client window. Same process, but it gives you a little bit. We'll just make sure that we're following through the process you would use. So if you have a client call up over the phone, you want to make sure that you have a prospective client call up over the phone. You want to make sure that you have everything set up for them. You enter their project in here as a prospective client, and then let's get somebody that actually has a name in here, because that one is kind of a test one. And then you can have it click send email to client. When you click save, it's going to open up the email window, so you can have a pre-populated email customized for them to send it to them. Useful for saying, hey, we're glad you were interested in us, and here's some more details about it. And then you also have a project set with a deadline, so you can say, hey, I want to make sure that I follow up with this prospective client to convert them to a paying customer. Or you can have it send a text message to them, either way. But that's a great way to track prospective clients. Now, so there's that icon there that I mentioned, and similar in the client section. And if you edit the client, you also have the create button down here. You can create a project with clients. So you have both. They do the exact same thing. Both options are available. And here in you also have the project section over here, so you can track what's happening with that client. Really useful. So a client calls up over the phone saying, hey, what's the status of my order? You just come in here to the edit client window, click on projects, and then they have the list of what's happening with them here in the pipeline. And once again, we're covering pipelines in the other video tutorial. So that's how you create a pipeline for a client. Let's go do it for a event. We have some events here. I just double click to edit that. Go to create project from event, and that will do the same thing. Let's go ahead and show the other method of doing it. From this window, which is the agenda view, you can click on that button right there, and it pops up the same options right here, where you can create a client from the project. Sorry, create a project from the event. Let's do it for an invoice. So you come in here, you can click the button there, and it will open the create order for invoice. And this one has more options, and we'll cover those options in the other tutorial, the pipeline and task template options, specifically down here, because those are intertwined. And we could also go in here and edit the invoice, and then you have the more actions option down here to create order from invoice, and you have the same options with the estimates and quotes. So just a quick recap, and then we have the ability to show the different projects from here. Let's pull up all the projects we have currently working on. You have different types of projects. You have the general projects, client projects, event projects, and orders. They're all similar, but they're used for different purposes. You'd want to use a general project to track something that just needs to be done. Essentially, it's a task list. Client project, you want to track something to do with a specific client. The most obvious example is this prospective client, tracking them to make sure that they need to be that you don't forget to follow up with them or have an employee follow up with them. Event project are things that you need to do before or after an event or session. And then an order are things you need to deliver to a customer. I should mention that with Cloud Alerts, you can set it up to send emails based upon the deadline of a project. You can send those emails to employees to remind them that a deadline is coming up, or a text message. So it is integrated with Cloud Alerts to help streamline your business. And then we also, with the pipelines and task templates, we have a lot more integration and automation you can do to really make things faster. But that's something you'll have to refer to that tutorial to learn all the details about it.